Alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala Rasulullah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala, amma ba'd. Dear brothers and sisters, this is a question. What is the ruling of children praying as imams with adults? Actually, scholars have two opinions about this. The first opinion is the majority's opinion, which are the Malikis, Hanafis, and Hanbalis. They say that's not proper unless it's an extra prayer like Salat Taraweeh or whatever, something like that. And if it's regular prayers like the 5 obligatory prayers, it's not permissible for adults to pray behind an imam that is still young, that still didn't reach the puberty age. Why? Well, they say that he's still not responsible. This is the first reason. The second reason, they say, because children are praying nafila. It's not obligatory. But adults are praying farida. It's obligatory. And this difference between the two intentions is not permissible. Now the Shafi'is and some Hanbalis and some imams that are mujtahidun from other madhahib, like Imam ibn Hazm and Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and others, they say there is nothing that prevents us from praying behind children as long as they know what they're doing, especially when it comes to children that are a bit mature. I mean, 14 years, 13 years old, 12 years old, something like that are more mature and they understand what they're doing. Especially after 7 years old, which is the age where we are asked to order our children to start praying. And these imams have a strong evidence, which is the hadith that was narrated by Amr ibn Salima, who said that when he was a kid, when he was a child, his tribe was in the routes where the Islamic caravans passed there. So he used to meet a lot of Muslims and start memorizing Quran from them. So he memorized lots of Quran. And when his tribe became Muslim, converted to Islam, they discovered that he's the most one that memorizes Quran, which means that he memorizes Quran more than everybody else. So therefore, he was about 6 years old, and his tribe put him as an imam. Or he was nearly 7 years old, something like that. 7 years old, something like that. So therefore, they say that this child started leading the prayer, and he had only a short garment. So when he prostrates, his bottom gets uncovered. So there was a woman there that said, cover the bottom of your imam. So they went gathering money and they bought for him a beautiful garment, full garment. He said, I wasn't happy as I was happy that day after I became Muslim. So this means that this child used to be an imam when he was 7 years old in the days of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and no one said to him that you're not allowed to do that, and no one told the tribe that your prayer is not accepted. Now the others say, well, this hadith is not a strong evidence because maybe the Prophet ﷺ didn't know what happened in that tribe, and this is actually this is not accepted, because it's impossible that the Prophet ﷺ in those days didn't know what happened in that tribe, and all of them are praying behind this guy, this child, and no one told him, and even the revelation didn't come to him. So actually, this is so far. This is unacceptable. So I believe that the opinion of Shafi'is is more accepted. Now, the majority of scholars have evidence. They say that the Prophet ﷺ said that the pen it doesn't write anything. The pen of revelation. The pen doesn't write anything. The pen that writes mistakes and sins and stuff like that. It's holding on three guys: on the child until he reaches puberty age, on the one who's asleep until he wakes up, on the one who is innocent until he becomes normal. This hadith is an authentic hadith. And there is another narration by Aisha and Ibn Abbas. They said the child is not allowed to be an imam until he reaches puberty age. It's narrated by An-Nasa'i of Abi Dawood, but it's not from the Prophet ﷺ's sayings. It's from their sayings. So it's only an opinion. Okay? The majority of scholars say that the narration of Amr ibn Salima, which is narrated in the authentic books, in the book of Muslim, is a strong evidence. And they say that anyone who is an imam for himself, he can be an imam for others. And they say that this hadith that says that children don't have sins, well, this doesn't mean that their prayer is not accepted. This doesn't mean that their prayer is not accepted. So therefore, this doesn't have anything to do with what we're speaking about. And there is another narration by Ibn Abbas and Aisha radiallahu anha that permits children praying with others. And therefore, there are other opinions which are more stronger. And this is actually, although I'm Maliki, but I believe that this opinion is more stronger. And the Shafi'is here have a strong evidence. And Allah knows the best. Yes. Okay, so here, can we reconcile by saying salah behind a child is valid but haram unless there is no. It's either this or this. You can't have a new opinion. No, we have these two opinions. That's it. Okay, she says, Sister Lubna says, Shaykh, we learned that every individual after puberty is accountable for praying and Ramadan fasting. However, what is the ruling on a teenager who is 16 years old but still doesn't have the mental maturity to do things. He doesn't pray regularly or fasts despite his parents remind him constantly. He looks around in salah, oh my god, and can't focus. He doesn't take responsibility for simple things yet. He has not been able to fast for 2 years. Is this teenager accountable? Do the parents need to give penalty on his behalf for not completing the Ramadan fast? Is this child mental? Does he have problems in his mind? Is he normal?
No, Sheikh.
He's not
Yeah, he's
normal?
completely normal. I mean, he has not been diagnosed or anything yet. But the parents were asking me, like, if I can ask the Sheikh what to do because he's just not able to focus much. He's also falling behind in his studies.
Which means
So,
I want to just ask: is he actually he's not normal, or he's
he's
normal?
completely normal.
Huh?
He's normal, but just lacks a lot of responsibility. So maybe he has some focus issue.
Well,
Allah Alam.
there's another problem. Did his parents try to train him before, or they left him like that until when he reached puberty age? They just started telling him and ordering him, and actually they didn't train him before. This happens,
Yeah.
especially when he's cute and he's oh darling, do whatever you want, etc. So when he becomes in the age, he becomes so open and loose. There's a big problem. Many parents, when their child is cute and handsome and fluffy and something like that, they just leave him always like that. So they don't take care of him. So when they need him, they don't find him.
Sheikh, both parents are, mashallah, they pray regularly, fast. They are practicing. But they are noticing that their other children who are much younger are able to focus more in salah. So
Yes, exactly.
they have had a lot of, maybe he went through a lot of transitions. He had to move to another country. He might be going through maybe anxiety or something.
Okay. Anyway, if he's normal, they have to order him to practice all of these prayers and fastings, and be always behind him and remind him. If he doesn't do that, well, he has to. It's gonna be. He has gonna have. We can choose the easiest penalty, but he has to have penalties for that because at least he has to go and refast those days that he ate. You see,
Okay.
because he's responsible as long as he reached puberty. Did he reach puberty?
Yes, yes, he
He's
did.
an adult, so therefore he's responsible. Yeah.
Okay.
Sheikh,
Jazakallah khair.
Oh yeah.
Sheikh, I have the exact same question about puberty
Yeah.
with physical maturity and mental maturity.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking for someone else. I have 5 kids, and the youngest of them
MashaAllah.
with mental maturity is very different. I had all the testing done. The testing is fine, but yes, the developmental delay is there in the sense of learning things easy. Learning things. It takes them a lot of repetition, focus. Like what Sister Lubna was saying, she actually
This
asked
is the same issue. Same, yeah.
yeah, so when you test them, they will say that the IQ level is low. It's close to the norm. It's very close to the norm, but it's not very normal. So if I look at my nephew, who is maybe 5 or 6 years old, he picks up so much faster with the same amount of repetition than my own son. And
Yeah.
I have another
This.
son who's a hafiz, so I know that I've tried all the same thing. It's just uh, so I wasn't strict with him. I kept calling him, he'll stand. But the same thing what Sister Lubna is saying, the ability to focus or that sense of responsibility and comprehension of the importance of that maturity or that understanding has not clicked with him despite all the efforts I've done with my other children. And even my younger nephews, they pick up so easily. But for him, I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
Like Fatiha, teaching him Fatiha, I can't tell you, he knows it and he'll still forget the middle of it.
Yeah.
Subhanallah, same thing, Sheikh. Like he wants to say the adhan, but he's not able to. He wants to really,
Okay. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something.
yeah.
I discovered this. It has a dental name, or not a dental. Sorry. It has a specific name. has a specific name. The doctors understand these types of things, and he has a specific name. And in the old ages, they used to think that this is a type of stupidity or something like that. But that's not true. What happens is that mankind sometimes can be very smart and clever in some aspects, and can be weak in other aspects. For example, for me, wherever I go, I forget the way to go back to that place. Unless I always know that place. I'm not needed that. And I know others that wherever you put them, even in the night, even in the morning, wherever, anytime, they would go there easily. But if you ask them to memorize something from the Quran, it's very difficult for them. You see? So this is not. And then the parents think that this is stupidity. No, that's not proper. This needs from the parents to go to a doctor that takes care of these types of things, and he tries with the child until he reaches he succeeds in his life. He succeeds because the most dangerous thing in the life is to think that you're stupid. So you say, well, I'm stupid, that's it. No, that's wrong, totally wrong. Or it happens to the parents. They keep on insulting the child until he believes that he's stupid or he can't do it. And that's not proper, actually. You're not supposed to insult your children, nor insist on them that they're not normal or they're stupid or whatever. Because this happens for some parents. They even beat their children, they insult them, they tell them bad words. So that hurts them, and then they get convinced that I'm stupid, that's it, I can't do anything. But that's not true, actually. So this is the case. The case is that you can go to a doctor that takes care of these types of things, and they would solve the problem. Because this is a problem, and I knew it from a lot of people that I know, a lot of children, and they succeeded, alhamdulillah, and they went very good. They had problems in the beginning, but when they went to the doctor, he helped them until they reach to what they have to reach, and then they're happy in their lives. So this is the case.
But they're still accountable, right? Yeah, like they need to make
Yeah, of course.
the fast.
Yeah, of course. Because they're not
Not being diagnosed.
yeah, they're not low-minded like these Mongolians, or they're not mad or whatever. No, they're normal. They're normal. They understand that they're normal.
Yeah, I guess the word they used to
Okay.
use in the
Yeah.
past is imbecile, but the kids may have some sort of learning disability, or they may be dyslexic. So
Dyslexic, that's the word, exactly. Dyslexia, they call it.
yeah.
Exactly.
So it may just need, having them. It's just like somebody, if they're weak in math, you have extra, help in approaching math in a different way. So similarly, if they have difficulty with these kind of things, or they just may need some help, and with support. And I think it's frustrating for them when they start getting criticized, and so instead of encouraging them to do better, then they become. It's a self-defeating thing when
Yeah.
everybody criticizes them and shit.
I know,
But,
one of my friend's sons, he had this dyslexia in writing. When he writes, he puts all of the letters on each other. He can't write. So his parents were so disturbed about that. What's happening to this child? Why does he do that? When they went to the doctor, he solved the problem. And I know others that their children always study and study and study, and in the end of the year, they get a low a low conclusion. I mean, they don't do
score.
good. Yeah, they have a low score. Yeah, so they disappointed. Maybe their parents get so angry they might beat them, they might insult them, and the children themselves get disappointed. They start crying. What's happening to us? And I know, of course, when they went to the doctor and they tried to solve this problem. Yeah, they solved it. And I know somebody that's his father used to always tell him, "You're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid." So he was convinced that he's stupid. But Later on in his life, he succeeded and he became something important. And he discovered that he wasn't stupid actually, but his father used to insult him like that. That was a big mistake actually. So this is the case. Now,
One of my you
yeah,
he grew up with dyslexia,
yes,
and he said because of that, it was very hard for him to read the books of hadith.
subhanallah,
All of the other students, they used to just read it to the shit. They used to just have the book, and they used to just read the
subhanallah.
hadith. But he couldn't, so he used to stay in the masjid all night, repeating the hadith again and again and again. So when it came his time,
Yeah,
he would not make mistakes. He said
subhanallah,
when he finished Sunan Sitta, he was the only one that memorized the whole Sunan Sitta
subhanallah.
because he had dyslexia. Subhanallah.
That's great. That's great. Okay.
Islamic. I have a question with regards to inheritance. Actually, somebody was asking me this yesterday. He has three grown-up kids. Uh, of those, one of them is married to a Christian, so Allah alam, she follows the Christian faith. Another child, he seems to believe. I mean, he hasn't declared this, but she feels like he's not. He's like is irreligious or atheist. Uh, but he is a he's her child, and in every other way, morally, ethically, he's good. So her question is, with when she makes her will, uh, typically non-Muslims don't inherit. So she says, what should I do with? How should I make my will? Would they be for the other two kids, and one of them, yes, she's following the Christian faith. The other one is not quite clear, and he's not in very good talking terms right now with his father. She can't discuss this with him about what his beliefs are at this point. So how should she go about making her will, and should they get a share of the inheritance or not?
If they're still called Muslims, I mean the ones that still call themselves Muslims
Mm-hmm.
or they're considered as Muslim. They never said we're not Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
So they are considered as Muslims. They inherit as any Muslim. But if they claim that they're not Muslim anymore, they're atheist, they're Christian, they don't inherit. No, they don't consider them as their sons anymore.
So, I mean, as I said, one of her kids, the son, she's just not sure. So, and she's not on talking terms with him. So, what should she do in making the will?
Well,
I mean, should you have husnul dhan and assume better unless clearly proven otherwise?
now
Or,
okay, now you're speaking about people in the West, right?
yeah, these are all in the, yeah, yes,
Where there isn't
exactly.
an
Who
Islamic rule
literally
there.
grew up here.
There isn't an Islamic rule, right? Right? Therefore, she wants to divide her will or her wealth in an Islamic way.
Yes.
Okay, as long as she doesn't know, she's not sure, she's going to count them as Muslims. That's it.
Okay. Assuming for the one who follows the. I mean, she says, she says all the thing, inshallah, mashallah, all of that, and she reminds her mother for prayer and everything. Uh, uh, but she says, I mean, she is following the Christian faith. She doesn't know. I told her, ask her what she believes in Isa alayhi salam. Does she believe,
So,
where does she put the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So I said, just ask her. Don't lecture her. Just ask her so you know where she stands. But if, for example, that's the case that she's not Muslim, she is still able to give some part of thing out of the 1/3 that she has, uh, you know, that she can give as a gift, not you know.
why is she
Uh,
concerned about these non-Muslims? They're not Muslims, so forget about them.
There are her children. They are her children. They care about her. I mean, except for that one son who's not talking to her right now, but her daughter calls her every day. She checks upon her. their cameras. She lives alone, so these kids live in different cities. From there, they are monitoring their mom
And they were
and the
originally
daughter.
Muslims. They came from Pakistan or
They
something.
were, yeah, they were. The daughter married a Christian, so now she
Alhamdulillah.
is following that faith, and she's very religious. And in that
Alhamdulillah.
term, I mean, she is faith based, but obviously, I mean, and she, the mother says, when we came here, we were young. She was only 19. She said, maybe I should have. And we lived in a small town in Tennessee. I didn't probably give my children the basis that I should have, or I didn't have the community, I didn't have the support.
So
So
sorry.
she's always worried. She's sending them stuff. I think when she sends them too much, they kind of shut her off. So she has to balance keeping contact, open lines of communication with her kids without you know doing being overboard. But they know how she feels about, she said, always, I mean, she's not the only one. Believe me, there are so many parents who are dealing with children, and these parents are crying and upset about their children's akhirah. So how can she, I mean, a mother's heart as a parent, I mean, fathers also, but mothers especially, they worry about their children's akhirah.
She can write a will
It's
for them.
Yeah, so she's asked, I mean, is that okay for her to
Yes.
leave some part of gift out of the one third if they're not Muslims technically? Then she can do that.
Yes, she can do that. Yes. So sorry. That's
Yeah.
why living in the West is a disaster.
Sheikh, hadn't you said that the 1/3 was supposed to be for people who cannot inherit from you from a sharing
Exactly.
perspective?
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
but she's your daughter and she had a share. So
She's not
because she's
Muslim.
not
She's not Muslim.
okay, but then she can get it from the 1/3 because she doesn't get it from this
Yes.
category.
Yes. Yes.
So Sheikh, what happens if, like, when we were talking about inheritance, if someone had 2 wives or 4 wives, and the share was 1/4, so from the 1/4, the 4 will be distributed, or each, it would be like that. Okay. So that was a question I had.
If they give them all, no, it's not 1/4. It's 1/8 if they have children.
Okay, so 1/4 is when they do not have children.
Yeah, when they don't have children. Yeah.
And then this gift part that we talked about, last time we had talked about it, you had said something about that if you're giving a gift, the possession has to shift from you to them.
Yes. Or else,
So,
as long as they still didn't possess it, they still didn't have it.
so say for example, if someone wants to give jewelry or some of the wealth, like this lady wants to put it, for example, if it's her house and she wanted to give it to her daughter or something as a gift, she needs to transfer ownership and everything. Does it need to be on paper or possession is what I'm saying? Can she give the paperwork and still live in that house? Because that's another question that often comes up, that I'm still alive, I need it right now, but I want it for this one, but I cannot do it after death.
Well, if you put it on papers and it's an official paper, that means she becomes the owner. That's fine.
So, but you don't have to give physical
No,
ownership to
no.
the other person, but the documentation needs to be done.
Yeah, yeah. So if there isn't any question, we can make a review about the book.
If I had a question,
Yes.
it's regarding eating with your hands. So I remember you were mentioning how in faith of those like, eating with 3 fingers is the sunnah. Well, what about cultures where they eat with all 5 fingers? Would that still be considered sunnah?
No, 5 fingers it's actually against the sunnah. You have to train people to follow the sunnah. So the sunnah is to eat with 3 fingers. If you eat with 5 fingers, that means you're greedy. If you eat with 1 finger, that means you're arrogant. So this is the sunnah actually.
Okay, jazakumullah khair.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
How does one eat with one finger?
He's arrogant, so he starts just putting his finger in. I don't know. That's what they say. So therefore, let's give a summary about the book. Let's give a summary about the book. And inshallah, next week, we're going to... Actually, even if I give a summary, I can't finish the whole book in an hour and a half. But just give an idea. And the videos are going to, as long as the brother works on them, we'll put them one by one until we finish all of the videos. We can have time. You can have your time to remember, review, and it's up to you. The ones that don't want to have an exam, they can just have a certificate that they participated in the lesson. The ones that need to have an ijaza and that they can that they studied the book and they passed the exam and they can teach the book and stuff like that. That's the best. That would be fantastic. And I want all of you actually not to just study what they studied. I want you to spread this knowledge. For example, if you have your family, your friends, your neighbors, to have a lesson every week in your house, in others' houses, every time in a house, and start studying this book and spreading the knowledge, that would be fantastic, actually. So this is my advice. And when I studied this book the first time, I studied it with my Sheikh Hassan rahimahullah. He was one of the great scholars. He was originally from Egypt. And he used to teach us in a masjid. And that's the first time I heard about this book when I was still young. I used to see it in my grandfather's library. And I used to benefit from its commentary, Subul Salam, when I was still young, maybe 14 years old or something like that. I remember that. And I used to read it a lot, because the most famous commentary on Bulugh al-Maram was Subul Salam by Imam Al-Amir al-San'ani, Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Amir al-San'ani, rahimahullah. And later on, when I was 16, 17, I started participating in the lessons of Shaykh Hassan Ayyub rahimahullah in his masjid in Jeddah, Arabia. And when he started giving us this lesson, we started studying it with Subul al-Salam. So Subul al-Salam was the book that we studied with. But later on, when I grew up more and I studied and I understood a lot of things, I found other commentaries on the book. So there is a commentary, very easy and beneficial commentary by Sheikh Abdurrahman al-Bassam, rahimahullah. This scholar is from Arabia, and his commentary is very easy and beautiful. And there is another one written by a great Indian scholar. He's the son of Imam Siddiq Hassan Khan. Siddiq Hassan Khan was a king of Bahopal in India. And his son wrote a summary of Subul al-Salam. So he made a summary on Subul al-Salam, where actually Subul al-Salam is a summary of Al-Badr al-Tamam by a Yemeni scholar called Al-Maghribi. Maghribi doesn't mean Moroccan, but means the western of Sana'a. He's from the west of Sana'a, so they call him Al-Maghribi. And his commentary, Al-Badr al-Tamam, is a very beautiful and beneficial commentary, and he benefited a lot from Imam Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, who is the one who wrote Bulugh al-Maram. So Bulugh al-Maram is written by Al-Imam Abi al-Fadl Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, who is considered as Shaykh al-Islam and al-Hafiz, al-Imam, great Imam. And he wrote this book. The idea was compiling the evidence of the Shafi'is. So what is Bulugh al-Maram? It's compiling all of the evidence of the Shafi'is in the fiqh. Where do Shafi'is derive their evidence from? He went compiling 2,000 narrations for that, which are the narrations of this book. So this book contains less than 2,000. It's nearly, according to this, it's 1,568. 1,000. So it's nearly 1,500 narrations. It was compiled to show the evidence of the Shafi'i school. But not only Shafi'is benefit from it, all people benefit from it. Because Al-Maghribi and Al-San'ani are Zaydis. They're Zaydis. And Al-Bassam and others like Sheikh Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, who has a very beneficial commentary on it, on this book as well, and some people say it's the best commentary. Sheikh Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, I forgot his name, I'll get it. They're Hanbalis. And the one that I benefit from a lot in my lessons was Al-I'lam bi Sharh Bulugh al-Maram by Sheikh Nur al-Din al-Itr, is a Hanafi scholar. So we have commentaries from all types of schools. They're not only one school. Although the Shafi'is are the ones who Imam al-Hafiz al-Hajar was a Shafi'i, but we have Sheikh al-Husayn ibn Muhammad al-Maghribi, who wrote al-Badr al-Tamam, and it's maybe the oldest commentary on the book. He's Zaydi. And then Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Ismail al-San'ani, al-Amir al-San'ani, wrote Subul al-Salam, which he summarized al-Badr al-Tamam. Then Fath al-Allam by Al-Imam Siddiq Hassan Khan, rahimahullah, who omits all the Shi'is' opinions from the book, Zaydis or Imamis. He omitted and just took it off. And he added other opinions of them. So it's by Sheikh Siddiq Hassan Khan, rahimahullah. And I saw another one by his son too. And then we have Tawdih al-Ahkam by Sheikh Abdullah ibn Abdul Rahman al-Bassam, who is a Hanbali scholar. It's a beautiful book, I have it. And there we have another one called Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. There are others. And then this one by Sheikh that I told you. I told you that this commentary of Sheikh Nur al-Din al-Itr, rahimahullah, was Hanafi. So these are there are others. There are other works on the book. These are the main ones. These are the main ones. Okay? Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad.
Would you share with us what kind of questions to expect? Like, so for example, we asked you a question of Salah. So if you were testing us on this topic, we have no idea how the questions are or how you test and what kind of, so once we're going back and reviewing, we understand how to approach the revision.
Well, actually, I'm not going to be mean in my questions, and I'll try to. The main idea is to understand or to see that the students understood every chapter, what's the idea of it? Let me give you an example. If I ask a student of you and tell him, what do you know about qasama? And he says, oh, qasama, I don't know. Now, this is a problem. But I won't be mean and tell you what are the opinions of scholars about, and I'll search for a branch of the fiqh and tell you, yalla, tell me all the opinions from the four madhahib. That's a bit difficult. I won't do that. Okay? So the idea is to understand that the students knows what are the chapters speaking about, and that there are several opinions, even if you don't know exactly what this opinion refers to, which imam does this opinion refer to, and this opinion. If you're more than that and super, okay, that's actually perfect. But I won't ask something that me myself cannot always remember. Okay, is that fair?
Yes, sir.
So this is the idea. I'm going to show you these commentaries. Okay. Yeah, there's
Are we
min.
taking it next week, Sheikh? When are we taking it?
No, not next week. You just tell me when do you want me to. When do you want to? You just give me a fixed appointment. But actually, this needs until we upload the videos. The videos are still not uploaded. And I'm going to ask Nu'man and tell him what did he do about the videos. Okay? So is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So now, this is the idea of Bulugh al-Maram. Al-Imam Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar rahimahullah goes on, starting as all books of fiqh. No, this book is not a book of fiqh. This is called Ahadith al-Ahkam. Ahadith al-Ahkam means the evidence of fiqh from the Sunnah, because we have another topic called Ayatul Ahkam. By the way, if you want, later on, we can study Ayatul Ahkam. That's another topic. It's very beautiful and beneficial. I never gave it to anybody, but it's a very... So we have Ayatul Ahkam and we have Ahadithul Ahkam. This is Ahadithul Ahkam. And Ahadithul Ahkam means the evidence from Sunnah, from the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ of the fiqh. So therefore, in studying books like this, you mention the hadith, and then you mention what scholars said about that hadith, and what are the opinions about that. And therefore, they mention the opinions of scholars from Sahaba until the Imams. They don't say only the four Imams. They mention all of the Imams, because there aren't only four Imams. There are lots of Imams in fiqh. But these four Imams are the Imams that had schools that continued after them. Others, they didn't have schools that continued after them, unless if you add to them other schools that are not referred to the Sunni schools, like the Zaydis, the Ja'faris, the Ibadis, and the Zahiris. These are four schools that are not... Actually, the Zahiris are Sunnis, but they don't have any followers anymore right now, unless if we're speaking about some few people here and there. But the Zaydis now are in Yemen. The Ja'faris are the Shia that are in Iran and Lebanon and Iraq. The Ibadis are those guys in Oman and some places in Libya, Algeria, and few people in Tunisia. So these are called Ibadis, and they are from the groups that are contracts with the Shia. They're against the Shia. They were against the Shia in the history, which we call them the Khawarij. Okay, so these are the schools that exist until now, and therefore, when we speak about Bulugh al-Maram, he starts by the chapters of purification. So it starts with the chapters of purification, and in the chapters of purification, he mentions the types of water, and we know that water is three types of water, which is pure, that you can purify, you can use it in religious meanings and in normal meanings, and pure, that you can't use it in religious purification, but you can use it in your life, and impure, which is najis. So we have these three categories, and this chapter speaks about that. And then after that, it speaks about the vessels. Vessels are the things that you use where you put water or liquid things in it, like the liver, flesh of animals, and all types of dishes and stuff like that. Are these pure? Aren't they? Are they not pure? Especially the animal's flesh. If you slaughter it, if you tin it, and these type of things. Okay. And then it shows how to purify things, how to take off filth and stuff like that. And what are filthy things? What's filthy thing? What's najis? What are things that are najis, and what are things that are not najis? And this needs lots of actually scholars differ here. And then it goes mentioning the minor purification, and then not the minor and the major, not the, how do you call it? The big purification and the small purification. Can we say that? Or we can say the the big purification, major and minor. Yeah, exactly. Major and minor. Yeah, exactly. So the minor is when you purify yourself from all things that. This is another chapter. What are things that nullify purification and minor purification? What are things that nullify major purification? And therefore, the narrations go mentioning how to purify yourself. What are the things? What are the things that are obligatory, not obligatory, etc. All it has to do with wudu. All it has to do with wudu, and then it speaks about passing on your socks, leather socks, all kinds of things that you wear in your leg, and what are things that nullify minor purification. Okay. After that, it shows how to go to the bathroom. What do you do in bathroom? What are the things that you can use to clean yourself? All these types of things. And this is, yeah. So, subhanAllah, everything shows. What are the morals and manners in going to the bathroom? Okay? So, all these things have to do with this, yeah. And then it goes to major purification. What is major purification? What are things that put you in the state of major purification? There are two things, of course. The first is intercoursing with the other sex. The second is discharging semen. So these are the two things that put you in the state of which is called janaba actually. And from here he mentions all things that have to do with the sexual approaching your other spouse. It mentions the rulings, and it mentions the morals and manners here. And then after that, it goes mentioning the dry purification, which is tayammum. What are the things that you have to do? What are the parts of your body that you have to use? What are the things that you are allowed to use to purify yourself? After that, it goes to menstruation rulings. Menstruation rulings. What is menstruation? How to do with menstruation? What is its time? What are you allowed to? How are you allowed to approach your wife actually, when she is in her menstruation period? All these types of things. What is forbidden for the menstruation? Any woman that is in her menstruation period. So all these things are mentioned in this chapter. Why are we? Why do we need purification? Because it's one of the conditions of prayer. So therefore, after purification, you directly go to the chapter of prayer, salah. The chapter of prayer is the main prayer. Usually, all of the books that speak about rulings of Islam start with the 5 pillars of Islam, and then they differ after that. Should they mention so and so or so and so? Therefore, that's where they differ. That's where they differ between each other in the chapters that they have. Yeah. So therefore, it starts with the timings, because if you want to pray, what are the times of prayer? Because the time is the second condition of prayer. So the prayer has to have its time, and after knowing the time, therefore that you're supposed to pray. If there's no time, there's no prayer. Okay. So it mentions the time of the 5 regular prayers, and then how do you call people to pray? So therefore, he mentions the chapter of adhan, which is calling for the prayer. What is adhan? What are the words of adhan? What is the iqama? What do you do in the fajr adhan? Are there 2 adhans in yeah, these are the things. Then he mentions other conditions of prayer. So he has a chapter of conditions of prayer, and he mentions those conditions of prayer, which are actually, when we speak about conditions, we have 2 types of conditions. There are conditions that make prayer obligatory, so it's called shurut al-wujub, and there are conditions that make the prayer accepted, valid. So that is called condition shurut al-ada. Yes. So these are very important to know and understand. And then you have to avoid anybody passing between you and the Qibla. So it speaks about the sutra, which is what you have to put near you, besides your or in front of you, so that people won't pass. And how do you deal with somebody who wants to pass between you and your Qibla? This is what you do here. After that, he speaks about where are you going to pray. So it speaks about the masajid. How are the masajid supposed to be? How are you supposed to deal with the masajid, to take care of it? And all these types of things. What are the things that you're not supposed to do in the masajid? And then he goes speaking about how to pray. And this is a long chapter actually. How to pray, what you do in your prayers, what you recite, what are differences between scholars about that. Are you supposed to read Surah Al-Fatiha? And what do you do when so all these types of things are here mentioned in this chapter. It's a long chapter. Maybe it's the longest chapter in this book, because the chapters that have to do with the worships are more than the chapters that have to do with other things, because chapters here that in worship are detailed, or chapters that speak about other things like transactions and stuff like that, give you the main rulings without going in details, so that things won't get difficult and life won't get difficult, because these things change from a country to another, from an era to another era, etc. And after that, he mentions the extra prayers, Salat al-Tatawwur. So he mentions what are the extra prayers exactly, what are the things that you have to do. This is important. What are the so after that, he speaks about being an imam and jama'ah. What are the conditions of the imam, and who is allowed to be an imam, like the things that you were asking me this in the beginning of the lesson, and how the imam has to wear, to dress, to appear to people, who are the ones that are not supposed to be imam, or at least are not asked to be imams. And what is Salat al-Jama'ah? How is it supposed to be? All these types of things. This is general case of Jama'ah. There's a specific case of Jama'ah, which is Salat al-Jumu'ah. So yeah, he speaks after that about Salat al-Jumu'ah. And then he speaks about resident and abroad traveling prayer, and the prayer that sick people do. Prayer that sick people do. Okay? So this is important. Salat al-Jumu'ah after that. Salat al-Jumu'ah. What is Salat al-Jumu'ah? How do you pray it? What are the conditions of the imam? Is the khutbah part of the prayer or not? Etc. All these types of things. How is the khutbah supposed to be? All these types of things. You see? After that, it speaks about the fearing prayer. And that's when you pray when there is a battle. So you have to know how to pray when there's a battle. How to pray, what are types of praying, etc. This is very important. And after that, it speaks about the prayer of the Eid. Prayer of Eid. You have two Eids, so you have two prayers of Eid, and that's where the prayer is before the khutbah. So how do you do, what do you say, how the Prophet ﷺ did, etc. Okay? And then the prayer of eclipse. So that's when the sun disappears in the morning. When the sun disappears in the morning, that's considered as a disaster, and we have to go and pray. So we gather each other in the masjid, and then we start praying a specific prayer. It's not normal. It's a specific prayer. It has two bowing down and two saying Sami Allahu liman hamidah. When there isn't any rain, we don't have rain, we need water. Even when the river doesn't give water, we pray a prayer called Salatul Istisqa. That means we are asking for water. And therefore, when you are asking for water, you pray these two rak'ahs and you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for water, rain. So here it mentions the hadith that speak about that. This is the last hadith about prayer. And you can notice that this chapter of of salah, of prayer, is the longest chapter of this book. And therefore, after that, one of the conditions of prayer is covering your parts, covering the private parts, which means there is a specific dress, not a specific dress in the style, a specific dress that covers specific parts of your body. So we have a chapter here that mentions what to dress, what to wear. So it mentions what to wear, what to dress, and stuff like that. But this chapter goes more detail to show the Muslim what to dress and what to wear in his life, which means you're not allowed, for example, men are not allowed to wear silk and gold. They're not allowed to uncover so and so, and it mentions all these and what scholars say about that. Okay? So this is very important. After that, it speaks about the funeral prayer and what to do with deceived people, how to wash them, and how to shroud, to put them in their shroud and stuff like that, and how to bury them after they pass away and die. Okay? So this is, I think, the last chapter that has to do about prayer, and the end of those chapters, which is nearly 1/3 of the book. 1/3 of the book. Let us stop here and then start the second hour, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.